I want to bring in TRT World analyst Ahmed Bedier, who joins me now in the studio. Ahmed, you were listening to the Turkish president's comments. What are some of your key takeaways?
Key takeaway that President Erdogan is doubling down on the Jamal Khashoggi issue, which means in the meetings that he's had with Donald Trump, he wasn't satisfied with the direction, that this is not necessarily a political issue. There wasn't any horse trading going on where the president was offering something and he was satisfied with that. This is something that's based on principle. He mentioned it. This is about the law, about ethics, and about doing the right thing and doubling down and using this platform, one of the biggest in the world, where all the leaders are gathered, to again bring up this matter of the Jamal Khashoggi murder that happened in Turkey. This is something that the Turkish government finds unacceptable, and they're continuing to use it and championing this cause to make sure it doesn't die down. And 2 months later, it's still one of the biggest stories in the world. And he's demanding that the people that are responsible for this crime, from the person that ordered it all the way to the people that carried it out, to be brought to justice, to be brought to Turkey, to be put on trial. And then also, something that's significant here today is he specifically mentioned the Crown Prince and saying he could not believe his answer, and whatever his answer was is not acceptable to him. So this is going a little bit further than before by naming the Crown Prince directly, and also at the same time differentiating the Crown Prince from the rest of the royal family and from the king himself. Not necessarily pointing the fingers at the king, but saying, that they respect the king. This is not something to hurt the Saudi government or the royal family, that they specifically are not satisfied with the answer of the Crown Prince, and, using their words against him, saying they said this was premeditated. So, there must be more to it, trying to link the Crown Prince to the crime.
This has been a fairly tense G20 summit, with the shadow of the Jamal Khashoggi murder kind of overhanging the whole summit, with the Crown Prince himself there, and also with the U.S. president there. I want to ask you about the relationship between Turkey and the United States. We saw President Trump meeting with the Turkish president earlier, and in the photo, the two of them are smiling. But then in Erdogan's comments just a few minutes ago, he kind of made this pointed comment, going back to the failed coup that took place in Turkey 2 years ago, saying that some countries continue to protect those who are behind the coup. Was that a direct kind of pointed comment to the U.S. president?
Yeah, of course. I mean, a lot of the comments, these comments that he said today are very measured. While he is, pointing that the relationship is warming up, in many ways it has been, but there are some really important issues to Turkey that still need to be addressed. Of course, saying that, while there are terrorists, and some of these terrorists that you should be consistent and not have double standards. The people we consider to be terrorists, you're harboring and you're giving them visas, while at the same time, the people that are deserving of visas, for example, refugees, you're not taking in. So there was a contrast at the beginning where he was saying how that, Turkey's taking in so many refugees, they're spending so much money on them, and instead of putting them in tent cities, as what Trump is suggesting to do with people at the southern border. But definitely the issue of the coup, the issue of funding militias, that he's saying our allies, meaning, again, the United States, are funding, what we consider to be, that Turkey considers to be Turkish terrorist militias at this, the border with Syria, and that's unacceptable, and that issue has to be resolved.
All right, Ahmed Bedier, thank you for joining us today.